wherever it is that you grew up, whatever you grew up in, I guarantee you someone has made you feel less than.
What happens is people only think of what's possible, not what they want. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 579, What Do You Do with Your Insecurities? If you are battling insecurities in your life, check that episode out. It was very, very valuable. Today, episode number 580, do you realize how far you've come?
580 times.
580 times.
You and I have talked about life.
And we're still terrible. It's like maybe this 581 is going to be the one.
Yeah, that's going to be the one.
Is going to be the one.
So you audioed me last night.
Today. It was today. This morning.
It was this morning.
Yeah.
And you were doing breath work.
Yes.
And tell the story.
So this actually started for me last night. So thank you for Jeff in the story. From
Yeah,
the
no
beginning.
problem.
So last night I was laying in bed, getting ready to go to sleep. And you ever have those nights where you're just reflecting on things?
Yes.
Just random things come to you?
Yes.
I'm laying in bed.
When you know you should be sleeping.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're Jeffing. Because you're already aiming for 7 hours, so anything that happens here is not going to be good.
Yep.
I'm laying in bed, and I have all these, and these have happened to me recently. I'm having all these memories of things that I don't consciously think of. And if you guys have listened to episodes before where I've talked about my past and how I was the gas station kid. Like, if you live in a small town, you might have somebody who is the gas station guy. You go there and the gas station guy is always there. He's the one who pumps your gas. In Massachusetts, that's still a thing where people pump your gas.
Right.
And I worked at a gas station that did that. My girlfriend at
Helen's.
Helen's, yeah, shout out to Helen's. My girlfriend's mom was a manager when I was 16 or 17. She ended up getting me the job. That was my first job I've ever done. And I ended up staying there until I was probably, I don't know how old I was.
I remember you worked with Calvin and Caleb.
Yeah. I worked with Matt. I worked with Tom. I worked with everybody. Everybody that, that friend group was down there. I was probably there for 4 years, maybe a little bit more. I don't know.
Right.
I don't remember how long it was. But I'm reflecting on how proud of us I am. And I was thinking of myself specifically just because it was my memory.
Yeah.
So, but I am proud of you too, obviously.
Thank you, brother.
That's the audio message I sent Alan today.
Yeah.
And I guess the point in this episode is I want you to realize, two things. One, you've probably made way more progress than you ever give yourself credit for. Genuinely. Unless you're just not doing anything. But again, you wouldn't be listening to the show.
Right.
You just wouldn't be, because this would be too much feedback and you'd say, oh, these guys are, they're terrible people, they're imposters, whatever. So you probably have made it further than you've given yourself credit for. I would say that most people don't focus on the wins. They focus on the losses.
For sure. They
They focus on the small losses and they don't focus on the big wins.
I know.
And that's something that I've been guilty of. But I'm looking back, okay? So here we are, 581 podcast episodes in. Our business is growing. Our clients are growing. I have a great relationship. All these things, right? All these amazing things. And I'm looking back. Okay, 17, I worked at a gas station. Okay, ended up being the guy at the gas station who trained all the other people. I was like the gas station guy. And again, nothing wrong with that.
Gas Station Jeff.
Gas station Jeff. Nothing wrong with that. But that's kind of what my identity was. The underdog who was just going to get stuck wherever he ended up. Okay? I go from the gas station to... Where did I go after the gas station? I literally worked overnights at a hospital cleaning toilets.
Milford Hospital.
Milford Hospital.
Yep.
I cleaned toilets. I prepped rooms for new people being brought in and people being brought out.
Patients.
Cleaned blood off the walls. All sorts of stuff. I did that for a year and a half, 11 to 7. Okay, so my sleep schedule was jeffed. And I remember thinking, and again, nothing against people doing that. I just remember, I hated it. I hated it. Because I would come in and, a lot of the people are looking down on you. You know it. Mm-hmm. You can tell by the way they're talking to you. Genuinely, you can tell. And I worked with some really amazing people, people I was friends with. Mm-hmm. And I love them. But it was just hard to, be perceived as less than. That's just the way it was. And I don't look down on people because I've been there. If we had a headquarters, I guarantee if the toilet clogged, I would clean it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, okay, I look back at that. After that,
Well, you might want to go down to the. No, I'm just joking.
I went down to. After that, I got a job as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Hated it. Absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
I got so drunk one night. It was a Thursday. I remember going out. No, Friday. It was a Friday. I remember going out, and I was like, I'm not going to drink because I have work tomorrow early. Okay? He got hammered. I woke up the next day, took a shower, fell back asleep, woke up again and took another shower because I didn't know I'd taken a shower, and I was getting ready to leave for work, and my mom wouldn't let me go. She's like, Kev, you're drunk. Like, you can't go to work. And I got into a fight with my mom over this. Ended up going back to sleep. Almost got fired from the job because they were like, you're sick an awful lot. And I was like, yeah, no, I know. It's like my immune system's weak or something. And I got into a fight with my mom, and I was like, thank you for not letting me go. Like, I was being just an idiot. Like, I was being so stupid. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right.
Ended up paying $1,000, I've talked about this, to quit that job because I signed a contract that said I would stay for a year. Hated it.
Yeah.
I hated the job so much, I gave them $1,000 check when I quit. I went from there to driving a truck. Okay? Hated it. Working overtime, working in the rain, being a forklift operator, driving to Boston, driving to Connecticut, driving to New Hampshire in a truck. Miserable. Never home, up at 4 a.m, going and doing something I didn't like. Literally quit that job with nothing lined up. People laughed at me in the office when I quit. They said, you're just going to quit and like go do the fire academy? I said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I went to the fire academy. I ended up getting a job with one of the guys I worked with in the fire academy doing home repair. Shout out to Big Z. Big tattooed guy, nicest guy in the world.
Big Z.
Big Z. I did home repair stuff. We renovated a house. Awesome. Graduate the fire academy. I want to do the firefighting thing. I get called to my first fire. I didn't ask any questions in the fire academy, so that bombed, and I was like, all right, this isn't the thing. And then I end up getting this job as a weatherization person, making a lot of money. The whole point of that, it's not about me.
Well, for those of you who don't know the weatherization thing, can you go through that briefly?
Yeah, so I was a foreman for a company who made state and government buildings more energy efficient. So we would travel up and down the East Coast. We're in Massachusetts. That's where we live. That's where we're stationed.
Right.
I worked in Virginia, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, all places.
Right.
New Hampshire. I worked in all over the place. So I was always on the road. Now, I made a lot of good money, right? $120 an hour at sometimes, but
Right.
I was miserable.
Right.
I absolutely hated it. I'm crawling through attics in 120-degree weather. It was brutal. The whole point of this, and then I ended up quitting that job and getting into podcasting.
Okay.
The whole point of this is not to say like, oh, look at Kevin and how far he's come. The point of it is for you to do the same thing I did last night.
Right.
To look back at my identity was the kid who wasn't going to make it. In my group of friends, I was the kid who was supposed to go to jail and get in trouble. Genuinely. Like, that's what we thought was going to happen to me. Genuinely. So looking back for me is like, why can't you guys do it? You know what I mean? Like, why can't... I wasn't supposed to do it. I'm not supposed to be here, technically. You guys can do it. Especially if you don't have that. If you don't have any of that stuff, you can definitely do it. If you do have that and quote-unquote worse, you have even more resilience probably than I do.
It's so weird to me how... I never even think about it. I remember early on when Kevin and I were podcasting together, someone had said, like, it's so weird that you podcast with Alan because he's got like a master's degree, doesn't he? And I never even thought about it like that. It's so irrelevant to me in this weird way. Like, I look at what you're capable of or what's possible for you. I don't look at like any of that. I was watching a movie yesterday called The Greatest Game Ever Played. It's a Disney movie, but it's based on a true story. And it's a golfing movie, but basically it was in the shortest frame.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Shia LaBeouf, I think that's how you pronounce it. LaBeouf? I don't know.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, that one. So he was basically like a lower class, blah, 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 came from nothing golfer. And in the golfing community at that time in the early 1900s, it was very like you had to be a part of a certain family and all that nonsense. And I remember thinking at the end of the movie, I was like, I never, ever want to make someone feel less than. And you and I did an episode on the 3 beliefs you must have to succeed recently. It was a meetup. And if you haven't listened to that, it dropped on Tuesday. So check that out. But I remember thinking to myself, don't if you're out there listening right now, don't let anyone ever make you feel less than. Ever. Because I remember I was working for a golf course early on. I was a busboy and a cart kid. And as a busboy, I made $4 or $5 an hour. And then I got tipped out at the end of the night. And then as a cart kid, I made minimum wage in Rhode Island at the time was $7 an hour. And I remember I was like, I felt so... And for those of you who don't know the golfing culture, I don't want to rag on the sport or anything, but there's a little bit of like it's almost like a quote unquote like a high class sport kind of thing of like there's a lot of wealth and there's definitely some ego, and again, it's nothing against golf, but there was definitely that air of like, you know how you walking into the hospital you felt like disrespected or like you were less than. I felt less than for sure because I was a young kid who wasn't seen as valuable. And I remember I had a wedding there. It wasn't my wedding. It was my sister's best friend at the time. It was at Crystal Lake, the golf course. And I remember coming back. And at this point, I'm very successful in corporate. I graduated WPI, blah, blah, blah. And I remember being in that same environment, thinking about what it was like to be a kid and feel so less than. And I remember coming back feeling like $1 million. And it's such an interesting thing to go back in time and reflect on the way you used to feel versus the way you feel now. Because wherever it is that you grew up, whatever you grew up in, I guarantee you someone has made you feel less than. I guarantee it. I've never met someone who didn't have that happen to them, at least to some extent. I always used it as fuel, really. Like, I always used it as fuel. I always said to myself, I remember I was painting in Maine, and I felt so less than back then. I was 19 years old, and I was, like, getting good grades at WPI, but I was still treated like a painter, whatever that means. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm gonna own... We used to paint mansions on the ocean in Maine. Damascotta, Maine, great summer. We used to paint multi-million-dollar mansions on the ocean. It's beautiful. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm going to own homes like this one day. And I know I'm going to. And the people who are treating me the way they're treating me, very small town of Damascotta, like, whatever. They only see the now. They only see the now. One day it's not going to, one day it's going to be clear. And I think that if you're out there right now listening, if you've ever had someone make you feel less than, use it as fuel. Use it as motivation to be better, because you will get the last laugh, I promise you. And you won't even need the last laugh. That's the coolest part. When you're so happy and fulfilled, you won't need to go back and say anything. You'll just be so happy.
If you're listening to this and you look up to me in any way, shape, or form, the reason I wanted to do this episode is because I want you to know that it's just the habits. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm just not. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. It's not where I'm supposed to be. I didn't go to college. I didn't do well in high school, right? Like, I literally was the townie person who tried to make something of his life. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not for me. That's not the life I wanted to live, but I thought it was the life I had to live. I thought that was where I was going to end up. I thought that the only thing I could accomplish was what was given to me. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this or listening to this, it's obvious that you want to get to the next level of your life. We can help you get there faster.
In 3 months from today, your life can look completely different. Here's how. Group coaching. Here's what you're going to get. So you're going to get bi-weekly calls with Kevin and myself. You're going to be on a team of 10 like-minded, growth-oriented individuals. You're also going to be in a WhatsApp chat with Kevin and I and the entire team, 24/7 access to chat. Also, you're going to get bi-weekly progress reports and peak performance tracking.
Guys, this is a great opportunity for those who can't afford one-on-one coaching with Alan and myself. We have helped dozens and dozens of people get to the next level at this point. Go to nextleveluniverse.com, click group coaching, or find the link in the show notes.
Talk to you soon.
And that's like, if you listen to this and you look up to Alan and myself, if you've ever learned from us, if I've ever coached you, if you've ever seen us speak, whatever it is, the whole point of this episode is perspective for you. Because maybe you look up and you forget, or you haven't heard us say that before. I forgot another job I had. My first job I ever had, I worked at a butcher shop for one day, and then I quit. And then the guy got mad at me, and my uncle had to go get my check because my uncle's jacked. Another job I had, work was slow. So when I got the job, is the weatherization. I can't talk. I tell a lot about how successful I was. There was times where I could barely pay my bills because work was slow. Like, literally. There was times where I thought I was going to have to quit. No, because we worked on contract through the state and the government. Sometimes it would take a long time.
Yeah.
So that's why it was like when I traveled for 10 months, that's what I had to do because I didn't know when the next check was going to come after that. So I made a lot of money in a short amount of time, but there was times where I was out of work for weeks at a time. But I found this application, and it was demolition. And I was like, that's something I can do. I drive from Uxbridge at the time, like an hour and 40 minutes into Boston because 7 a.m. traffic in Boston, Massachusetts is a nightmare. Making $12 an hour to do demolition. Brutal work. Like, brutal work. At the end of the day, I was like, hey, man, I can't do this. Like, for $12 an hour, man, right. I lost money today, straight up. I'll be honest with you. I lost money driving out here. He's like, Kev, you're a great worker. What if I bump it up to 13? I was like, no, man. Like, dude, I can't do this.
Right.
Like, I'm used to making like $70 an hour. I can't live off this, honestly.
Right.
I can't drive out here. I'm going to be losing money. I called my boss because I told my boss I was done. Yeah. My other boss. I called him on the way home and said, hey, man, whatever. It is what it is. I'll wait as long as I have to. Like, I'm not going to find anything like this. So, like, I don't want it to seem like this was easy because it wasn't, but I also don't want it to seem like it's impossible for you. Because I think people see the Dean Graziosis and the Dave Meltzers doing what they're doing, and it's like, I could never get there. And it's like, well, maybe right now you couldn't. I'm not Dave's level. I couldn't get to where Dave is today. No. There's a lot of work I have to put in. But just because your past has divots or it has scars or it has dark patches or it has regrets or it has things that you're not proud of or you had an identity that you thought you had to fit into, that doesn't mean you can't do what you want. Genuinely.
Right.
Like all that BS starts to fall away when you decide, like, you know what? I'm going in on this. Like, I'm just going to go in on this. I had a client call the other day. We're talking about what she wanted to do with her life. And I said, I want you to pretend for a minute. Just pretend, and I know it's super hard. I just gave you $1 billion. And I said, you don't have to work a day in your life, but I want you to choose something that you love doing that is service of others. Don't think about the money.
That's a fire frame.
It's a good frame. I think it's
really
one
good.
of the best I've ever had because it takes away, you're not going to sit around and you're not going to sit around and play PlayStation all day either. You have to be in service of others.
Exactly.
Unless you sitting around playing PlayStation is your thing where you have a bunch of people that you impact and inspire.
Right.
And I said what happens is people only think of what's possible, not what they want. I want you to find something that you would do for free and then find a way to make it profitable. Mm-hmm. Find a way to make it your job. Find a way to make it your living.
Right.
Because that's when you're going to be the happiest anyway. We find things that are profitable and we try to convince ourselves that we love them.
I know.
What if you found something that you loved, that you hung in long enough, you went through the BS, you went through the fears, you overcame the limiting beliefs, and then you were successful? You're not going to be a millionaire overnight. You're not going to make $5,000 a week overnight. But what if you scrapped? Like, what if you grinded? What if you got creative? You know, like, I can tell you this with certainty. Who I've become as a man makes me more proud than anything we've done. Genuinely.
Same.
The money, like, we're doing money. We're making money now. That's good. We have awesome clients. We're getting more speeches and all that. That's all amazing. I love that. And that's what we're working for. But I'm also working to be the best man I can be, the best human, the best father, the best husband. That is the most rewarding thing. And I don't know if I would feel that way if I was living a life designed by somebody else.
Amy posted a question in Next Level Nation that really struck me today. And since this is a reminiscy...
Join Next Level Nation.
Exactly. A reminiscy.
Yeah,
a reminiscy episode. That's a good word. We have 4 minutes, but I wrote something this morning. Basically, the post that she said in Next Level Nation was, what is the advice that you would give your younger self? One of my favorite questions in the world. And I'm sitting here thinking right now, I remember when I was working at Crystal Lake, I was a busboy. And I remember I had a huge crush on one of the girls that worked there. Her name was Jessica. To this day, she has no idea I had a crush on her. She was gorgeous. And she was dating the head cook there. And I remember this guy. He was like, not necessarily, insanely good looking or crazy smart or anything like that, but he just had status. He had something about him. And I remember she just so much of her attention was on him. And I felt so invisible to her, you know, because I was short and I hadn't hit puberty yet. I hit puberty very late. I still am hoping to hit puberty pretty soon. 32, maybe 33, I'll get my first pit hair. No, but like, it was just, I was invisible to her, and she was so gorgeous, and now it's interesting because my girlfriend Emilia knocks her out of the water in many regards, but it's just, what advice would I give my younger self? I wrote it out this morning, and I took real time to write this out, and I would love to read it if that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to? I was gonna say you could use my phone, but who knows where it is in this studio?
Right. So, if you're not in Next Level Nation, though, seriously, join that.
If you feel invisible, if you feel less than, if you feel stuck and like you're destined for something you don't want, this community will welcome you. I can promise you that.
That's a promise. And if they don't, they're going to be kicked. So Amy's post was, looking back to when you started your personal development journey, what advice would you give yourself? Fire question, Amy, if you're listening. This was my post. A lot of engagement on this one. This was really good. Okay, here was mine. I said, great post, Amy. Amazing question to contemplate. The advice I would give would be this. What others think or believe about you is far less important than what you think or believe about yourself. Your adversity growing up is actually an advantage, and it is what has created so much spiritual, emotional, and mental muscle to go and do extraordinary things. Also, you cannot help others by force, but only by inspiration. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. What you can do, however, is drink the water in front of the horse and lead by example. I'd also advise that you learn how to put your own health, well-being, and personal development first above all else. Why? Because you cannot give to others what you do not first have within yourself. And it isn't what you get or achieve that will matter, but rather it is who you become. And who you become will inherently create the ripple effect of positive impact and extraordinary life that you desire. Vice, being a victim and escaping, is easy. Pretend is easy. But what's easy will never really fulfill you. Instead, take the path less traveled by choice. It'll be far more challenging, but also far more rewarding. A pleasure-centered life is not the answer, even though that's what you grew up around. Instead, define what life, success, and fulfillment means to you, and create your own rule book. Live a principle-centered life instead of virtue and meaning. No, live a principle-centered life instead, a life of virtue and meaning. And instead of just doing your best, like we all do, focus instead on bettering your best. Don't try to be perfect, just try to be better. Don't try to be better than others, but always try to be better than you used to be. Live with passion, purpose, and intention. Don't let fear control you. Fight courageously for what you believe in and love as fiercely as you can, not just once, but every day. Not just on the big things, but in all that you do. Strive for your own unique flavor of excellence and always remain in integrity with your highest self. Effort and intentions matter most, even when the results aren't ideal. Remember, life's a gift, and only those who remember to treat it that way will ever fully maximize their potential and contribution.
My goodness. Fire. That right there is why I'll be doing an audiobook only.
Yeah.
Because I do not write like that. Strong work.
Thank you, brother.
Very powerful.
Thank you.
Very powerful. Would you have listened, do you think?
To that advice?
Well, we'll never know. Have a good one.
I do if it was from the right messenger. I think that, you know what's interesting? I love that you asked me that question, Kev.
Quickly, though.
Yeah, very quickly, because we got to go. I would have listened to me, because me now has many of the things that I admired then. Yeah. And that girl, Jessica, would have paid me a lot more attention in mind now. But at the end of the day, it's not about external validation. It's you got to give it to yourself. You got to be proud of yourself. I don't believe that this. We'll go right after this. I remember I paid off $84,000 worth of school debt in 1 year, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I drove a crappier car. I spent no money. I just wanted to get out of debt, and I was dealing with family stuff and all that. I remember I went to celebrate. We were camping. 4th of July weekend. I was like, oh my God, I'm celebrating. I'm so excited. And I saw my friends. And I was like, I'm just pumped. I'm ready to celebrate. I just paid off $84,000 worth of my debt in 1 year. This other person was in debt still. And they said, dude, don't brag. And I remember thinking to myself, like, and I let that get to me. Okay, don't brag. I was trying to celebrate my accomplishment. I wanted to be out of debt so bad. And I scrapped and I strove and I achieved it and I wanted to celebrate and I let someone else dampen what I achieved. And I'm never letting that happen again. I let someone make me feel less than because they're insecure. You're insecure because you're still in debt. I'm celebrating tonight. And I let someone else dampen my celebration. So, I would have taken the advice if it was from the right messenger.
Beautiful. I just want to throw a disclaimer. I do not look down on any of the professions I have had in the past. I just, now looking back, it's like I thought it was more the mindset than it was the place.
Right.
I thought I was only able to get what I had. I didn't know that there was striving for greater. So I have nothing against any of those things. I don't want, if any of you are listening to this, I don't want you to think I'm looking down on you or anybody who does that. Definitely not. I've been there. So for me, it's just a reflection and a trip down memory lane.
Same,
memory
brother.
lane.
Same.
I can't speak. Guys, if you feel stuck, if you feel lost, if you feel like you're only capable of getting what you have, that's why we're creating so many of the things we're creating. Like the Next Level Nation, that's why. So you can be in a group with people who will support you. Group coaching, we will literally support you to your goals and dreams. Mm-hmm. We're opening up group number 3 for the waiting list right now. I'm not sure when it's going to start, but it's going to be 90 days. 90 days where we are supporting you, where you can accomplish your goals, where you don't have to say, well, how do I do this? I'm not motivated today. I'm not inspired today. That's fine. We all get there, but you'll literally have people that are cheering you on. We have people in the chat right now messaging about their PPT, messaging about how to post their first social media thing because they're afraid to do it. If you really want to get to the next level of your life, whatever that means, you want a next level community, you want next level support, you want next level love, you want next level appreciation, and more than anything, you want to be understood at the next level. That is what group coaching will do to you. Reach out to Alan and myself, and we will point you in the right direction, or go to nextleveluniverse.com. I believe the application for Group 3 is up right now.
The group coaching tab. If you're out there right now, you are a part of some organization. Maybe it's a school, maybe it's a company, maybe it's a charity, maybe it's a nonprofit. With one message to Kevin, myself, or anyone on the team, you could have us come in and you could really shine around your peers because your peers are going to be so grateful that you had us come in. If you're a listener of the show, we give away one free speech to each listener, and we will customize the speech. It's a virtual speech completely to your organization's core aspirations, core values, and core beliefs, and we will send a questionnaire, get feedback from the attendees, and then we will basically help you shine within your organization because one message is all it takes. Just reach out.
Boom. And up next, we're going to have one of our LinkedIn Live coaching sessions with the one and only David Meltzer. We haven't done it yet, so I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be about, but knowing the questions that we'll bring and Dave's answers, it will be absolute fire. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. We love you. And as always, we don't have fans. We have family. Talk to you on the next one.
Talk to you soon.